I'm hoping everything's working well on your end. Diana, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey,
Great.
I am having a little bit of video issue, but I'm here in the background.
All right, all right. Well, I'm going to turn it over immediately to Diana Rosellis.
Great. Storm, thank you so much to you and Gigi for convening so many of us all around the world for so many hours. And I'm thrilled to be in conversation here today with Lutz and with Sacha from Berlin and from Manchester. And I will let the two of you introduce yourselves, and then I'll talk a little bit about the kind of key questions that we'll be walking through in the next half hour. Thanks, guys, for being with us.
Should I go first? So
Please.
My name's Sacha. I'm the co-founder of Parklife Festival in Greater Manchester and also the Warehouse Project. And for the last almost 2 years, I've been the nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester, advising our mayor, Andy Burnham.
Hi from my side, hi from Berlin. My name is Lutz Leichsenring. I'm the spokesman of the Berlin Club Commission. I'm there since 10 years in the executive board. I'm co-founder of a consultancy which is called VibeLab. And we are doing projects such as the Creative Footprint Study, which we did in Tokyo, New York, and Berlin. And right now I'm also the initiator of a project which is called United We Stream.
Great. And my name's Diana Rosellis. I am here in Berlin also with the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation in residence with the Berlin Club Commission and VibeLab as well. And so today in this next half hour or so, the key questions that I'm excited to explore with the two of you is how nightlife cities have been responding to crisis in the past 6 weeks. Both talking about where we've succeeded, things that we've initiated, things that we've built, and perhaps where we have more work to do in the coming weeks. And as well, I know that this is a specific situation that Berlin and Manchester and maybe about 50 other cities around the world have some kind of nighttime commission or governance for all different kinds of models, but for cities that don't, perhaps some actions that they can take. So I want to start with Lutz. One of the very first things that you did, maybe it feels like about 3 minutes after the announcement of closures came down in Berlin, was to start a WhatsApp group with folks globally that Sacha, you're also part of. I'd love to hear from you both. What kind of impact has this sort of informal network had in the last weeks, and how has it grown?
Well, when we had the first incidents in Berlin with the corona, we already were organizing ourselves a week before because we were seeing this wave coming at us, and we were very aware that this is going to hit nighttime really hard. And so for us, it was important to get our community together, to be like very responsive to, at first, of course, we gave tips how to open but still take care that the virus cannot spread. But obviously, after a couple of days later, we were much smarter that that is not happening. The way of using WhatsApp, I think, is for me to have a mandate or a mandatory from people to be able to make decisions and to be in a very close contact with them. So if they have questions, they can reach out very fast. Because I don't think it works that you have one big group and we make decisions together. Somebody have to step forward and make decisions, but it's also very important that you don't get hit from the left and right and from the back in the same times, because people don't feel that they were asked. So the WhatsApp group has now, I think, 130 people, all club owners and promoters from Berlin, and it's spread now to 20 different other ones. Of course, we also use Slack and other tools, but to be honest, the WhatsApp was the very urgent way of getting people very, very fast together, and it's working pretty well, actually.
And so you've got that group going for Berlin to do sort of city-specific organizing, but another group that has sort of grown out of this has been a group of global nighttime stakeholders. And Sacha, that's the one that you're part of. So what have the two of you been seeing from that group and that community conversation?
Well, I think, firstly for me, there's a much wider conversation to be had, and I don't want to take this politically. It won't be as academic as Adam. I really enjoyed his talk before. But, Adam mentioned the word Brexit, and 52% of the UK wanted to leave Europe. I was not one of those people. And actually, it's embarrassing what's happened in this country, not just with the nighttime economy, but in general. Germany have been the absolute leaders when you look in terms of death rates. We don't have enough tests, we don't have enough PPE, we didn't go into lockdown quick enough in Greater Manchester. We needed £9 million for masks and gloves for our doctors and nurses. The government only gave us £3 million. So it's a really bad situation. And I think we have taken absolute lead from Berlin, actually, and Germany in general. I think what you're doing is fantastic. I woke up on a Saturday morning and I was invited to the WhatsApp group. And it's kind of encouraging to see what other countries are doing across the world really well, actually, supporting industries. And also there are obviously countries that aren't supporting. I think the fact that Lutz brought everybody together with Nirik was incredible. And I'd just like to say publicly thank you for that, because it was a stroke of genius.
Yeah, to maybe to add that that for us it was of course important. We were in contact with almost everybody in that group before, but not regularly. And so I think it was also important to see in a crisis that we come together and don't divide up, and to learn from each other. And we also launched a platform, nighttime.org, where we just informed regularly what's happening in every city, picked out the bits and pieces, and kind of try to provide some help and some overview how the cities are responding.
Yeah, I think the question was about the last 6 weeks, and the worst thing that happened in this country was the Prime Minister, who incidentally had been boasting that he'd been to the hospital shaking hands with the coronavirus victims, and then guess what? He was in intensive care 2 weeks later. But so the worst thing he did for the nighttime economy is on a Monday afternoon, he advised people not to go to clubs, bars, restaurants. And that's the important word there. He advised. It was a knee-jerk reaction. They hadn't thought it through properly. And obviously, bars, restaurants were fully staffed, they were fully stocked, and there were no customers. And it took quite a few days before the last hang on. Need to catch people here, because our nighttime economy is the 5th biggest industry in the whole of the UK. Has my internet cut out there? Can you hear me okay?
It's okay.
Now I can hear you back.
Great.
You got garbled for a second.
Just a second, yeah.
So it's the 5th biggest industry in the whole of the UK, and the government kind of sidetracked us for a few days. In Greater Manchester alone, we employ 414,000 people. It took time, and I think some of the things they have done in terms of rate relief, VAT relief, furloughing, some support has actually been quite good, but so many people have fallen through the cracks. The people that you wouldn't necessarily think of straight away, like the lighting techs, the sound engineers, the crew. Those people now have gone from a pretty decent job to surviving and gone universal credit, which I don't think anybody can really survive on. So, it's estimated our industry. And the biggest problem for me as well is because the likes of Amazon and companies like that, and don't get me wrong, I'm one of the lazy ones who sit at night and order my shaving foam from Amazon to be delivered the next day. So, I have to hold my hands up as well. But Amazon killed our traditional high streets, that they were dying off. And the nighttime economy was propping those up with all the cool independent bars and restaurants that were being created, especially over the last 2 to 3 years. So, I think probably up to 75% of those will go. And I think this is a long-term strategy now. I don't think we're going to see the UK where it was for another 5-6 years. People are talking about recovery next year. I simply don't think that is going to be the case. This is, we could be paying for this for the rest of our lives, certainly in terms of tax.
I think one theme I want to highlight in response to that, because Sacha, I'm from the US, and so I think you and I are maybe sharing some similar feelings about looking at government response and wishing that it maybe could be going differently in some national senses. But I think one of the key themes that's coming out of this moment or questions is how we share good ideas from one city to another. and how, especially if folks are feeling that they must respond from a city level if the national government is perhaps not doing so, or not doing what we see as enough, how to innovate kind of on that municipal level. And we'll get into in the 11 a.m. panel a little bit more in depth about working specifically with government. But I'd really like to talk with both of you about United We Stream, because this is, I think, an example of an idea that was innovated in one city and has had some real positive impacts in the others. So I think, Lutz, I'll invite you to talk a little bit about what that is. And then I'd love to hear, Sacha, how that's manifested in Manchester too.
Sure. On Friday, the 13th of March, we got shut down in Berlin. And for us, it was very clear that we have to raise funding, donations, crowdfunding, whatever, because the government will take weeks or months until we get money. That was we were very aware of it, and our stakeholders don't have the backing, the financial backing to survive for several weeks. So to start a donation platform or crowdfunding platform is probably very easy set up, but what is the content? And we were thinking about, okay, if the people cannot go to clubs anymore, maybe you have to bring club culture to the people and to show how how serious the situation is. And so we decided to stream from out of empty clubs, with lineups which are very much in line with the club, with their residents and with artists they're very good related to, and people have the chance to look into clubs maybe they have never been, or they regular go, and listen to music you don't really you can listen in the radio too. And this was obviously a very big success. We were very fast. We launched this platform already 4 days after lockdown, or 5 days after lockdown, and we reach now almost 10 million views. We extended this to 10 different cities. Manchester is a great example how that can take over and make a success out of it. Sacha, you can probably tell a bit about that as well. They had like one weekend where they collected, I don't know, 100 grand or something. It was crazy, and that just shows how electrified the people are with this idea of coming together and creating something. That there was such a nice energy also in our team to set this project up, and we also now added some talk formats, some debate formats, because we think, next to music needs to be also a discussion about our society. So yeah, it's a successful project. I'm happy to be part of it. I'm happy to initiate this in this room actually, and it took off.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, next we've never actually met, but when I see Lutz, I want to give him a big kiss and a hug when COVID's died down, because again we are completely taking lead. And I was watching this thing, and it came from the WhatsApp group, actually. It was mentioned, and I was watching United We Stream, and I was like, that is absolute genius. So I picked the phone up, and we had a conversation. It was like, look, can we do this in Greater Manchester? And both Lutz and Merrick were so supportive and said, yeah, let's crack on, let's do it. And we set it up. And exactly the same, the money is not getting out to the people who need it the most. So that's what we wanted to do, exactly the same. But actually now, we've got the police behind it, we've got the emergency services behind it, and it's taken a completely different role. So the second week, this is our 4th weekend now, and the second weekend, something miraculous happened. So it's kind of different, because I think in Berlin, from the age of being put into a nappy to the age of being put into a coffin, you're into house and techno, that's it. But we've tried to make it slightly different. So one night to be cookery, last night was live bands. But we had a night, everybody's probably heard of the Hacienda. So Peter Hook from New Order phoned me up and said, look, what is this United We Stream? So I explained it to him. He's like, right, let me go away and let me have a think about it. And he came back and he put this 12-hour party together where it was Manchester DJs originated from the Hacienda who were playing in an empty theatre. And then there was a Q&A with people from New Order, the Happy Mondays, I mean, that's a mistake. Never put a Q&A on for hacienda people at 5 in the afternoon. I did worry at that point. But then in the evening, it was David Morales, Roger Sanchez, and Todd Terry, and we streamed from the States. And it was a massive part. So 1.5 million people tuned in. We crashed the website. We crashed Virgin Money where you can donate. And I think what happened was, as a promoter, sometimes you get this perfect storm where everything aligns. And we were on the back of a really bad week of news. It was really hitting home to some people that actually, this is serious what's going on. It was a bank holiday, the weather was perfect, and everyone just had the laptops in the garden and they were having a party. And the following week, I had a phone call from our mayor to say, well, not only have you raised X amount of money, and I know 1.5 million people watched it, but now United We Stream is the biggest platform in Greater Manchester for reiterating the message, stay home, stay home, stay home. And before that, there were so many house parties that were happening, and it was wasting the police's time. It wasn't supporting the NHS. And this is the biggest platform that Berlin have actually allowed us to use. So we're really grateful for that. And I know you'll be getting a letter from the mayor when we're through this. But yeah, it's fantastic. And, you know, I had to cancel Parklife Festival. We did it before the government told us to. It was socially responsible to do that. And it's a pity because we practically sold the 80,000 tickets back in March, and it's not till June. But in a way, you know, I'm kind of pleased because this United We Stream now is driving me up the wall. It's taken up all my time to program and get the message out. But it's fun. It's really good. And we're raising a lot of money. And we've got artists coming out of the walls to say, hey, could be a part of it. So, yeah, it's a really strong initiative. And weirdly, it's not just...
What's your sum? How much did you raise?
Well, so I'll announce it on here because we don't want to announce properly till the end of every month. But I think we're touching about £250,000 sterling, which is phenomenal. And you know, we're not going to let the council have that money because it gets stuck in red tape and everything. The mayor's agreed I can create a committee of people. The applications come in and we bang it out straight away. So first week in May, that money is going to be trickling out to the people that really need it. So yeah, we're happy. But we've also realized as well, now we have corporate sponsors coming to us who are saying, hey, you've got millions of people watching this. Can we put an advert on it? So Size, who is a trainer shop in Europe, they're now paying to use that as a way of getting their message across. So new people are coming towards us to raise funds. It's great. It's a fantastic initiative.
Great, wonderful.
So I think that, Sacha, you're hitting on a really important point, that this tool was not only a fundraising platform, but also became a way to communicate to people who maybe don't ever go inside of a club what nightlife is, and maybe to dispel some negative perceptions of nightlife or preconceptions. I want to ask for your advice to people who are maybe dealing with governments that have that kind of mentality, or other administrators who don't inherently understand the value of nightlife already. What would you communicate? And I'll share a clip from Ariel Palitz in New York as well. How do you explain to government why this is something worth supporting?
So we're kind of really lucky in Manchester. Because we have evolved powers now. So our mayor has certain powers away from the government. And, you know, I think I said at the start, the government has done a pretty crappy job. We're really lucky that the mayor completely understands the importance of the nighttime economy. So he's extremely supportive, and any initiative I've gone to him with, he's backed. You know, I had to laugh this morning, and I'm sorry because I don't know what your allegiances are in the States, but, you know, I think Boris Johnson's a plonker, but when you look at Donald Trump, he's come out and said that you can inject disinfectant into yourself and that's going to cure that. I mean, it's nuts. But then I know you've got your own powers in New York, and he's kind of, I forget his name, but certainly seems to know what he's talking about. So rather than dealing with the government, I think it's much better to deal with this on a local level and try and get people on your side. And, you know, I can't speak for other cities across the UK. I know London do a really good job. I know Glasgow do a good job. But Manchester, we're very, very fortunate that people get it and they really support us.
Lutz, anything to add on that front? Advice to cities trying to change minds in this moment?
Well, I think what Sacha said is very right. I think we have to act locally. Of course, there needs to be federal support, also financially. We see this in Berlin, that Berlin was always a poor city because it was a divided city for many years, and and of course there needs to be support. But I think the solutions, the responsibility also you have to show is something where you have to create an energy locally that people understand, and there's also like a social understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing this. And I think the clubs in Berlin were very responsible from the very first day. There was nobody really saying, "Oh, let's party on." Nobody said this. We knew that we were probably the first to have to close down, and the last who will open up again. That's how it is. And we but in this time, when we show solidarity, we also need to have solidarity, because we won't survive with fundraising or crowdfunding.
Yeah, I want to show a quick screen share and a clip from Ariel in New York. It's a little bit early for her to join us in person, but I had some of this conversation with her the other day. So I'm going to do a quick screen share.
And nightlife itself is a backbone of society. It doesn't just have immediate impacts on the economy and jobs. It has ancillary impacts as well. It broadens a much greater ecosystem. People who go to buy clothes, to get their hair done, the transportation, having a meal first. There are so many ways in which nightlife and life at night impacts society as a whole. And it needs to be communicated. And I think honestly, not having nightlife and not having places to socialize and not having places to eat might even speak more volumes than anything anyone can say, because we are missing that sociability. We are missing each other. And that is something everyone is feeling. And I think to build on the case of what we have all missed, I think is a good place to start.
That's an impactful way to sort of circle back to where why we're here and why you all are gathered. Very good.
I just wanted to maybe make a last little share a last little idea we have in the recent days, that we need to really work together collectively with all the cities, because we all make our experiences. We all make case studies now and want to bring nightlife back, maybe even better than it was before. I know that's a big goal, but we have now a chance also to create impact after this crisis. So if you like to join our ambitions, we just started this idea of starting a global nighttime recovery plan, and you can read about it also on our nighttime.org page. Would be happy to have everybody on board who is working in government or in science, who can help us to create this piece.
No, I'm going to feed in. I think it absolutely makes sense, and I know we're kind of wrapping this up, but I just, sometimes all of us listening to this here must have days or hours where it's a bit low and it's a bit crappy. But a positive for me is we are now starting to hear in the UK the word recovery, and this has only happened in the last few days. And for me, that's showing light at the end of the tunnel. They are talking about the Premiership finishing the end of the season. Okay, it'll be behind doors, but we're starting to see the slow process. And I know we're behind Germany, but the fact that the word recovery is starting to be looked at, and yes, hospitality will be the last, but I think, Lutz, you're quite right. When we come back, we're going to be bigger, bolder. And can you imagine the first party that we go to where we see our friends that we haven't seen for weeks, if not months? We're physically there. We don't want to touch them, hug them. It's going to be amazing. It really is. So, there is hope out there. And yeah, just, thanks again, Lutz. You've completely led Europe on this, in my opinion, but we're still better than you at football. That's all. Oh, you
had to get that in, didn't you?